How many times can I say the number 59 and a half in the course of a month? Well, apparently many, many more. Today's method for accessing our retirement funds before we turn 59 and a half, the Roth IRA. So let's go ahead and get started. All right. Welcome back to another episode of A Worthwhile Retirement. I am Jacob George, and today we are digging into yet another method of accessing retirement funds before we turn 59 and a half. And by the way, I am not going to cover every possible way of doing this. There are many one-off scenarios that allow you to pull from retirement funds for various reasons, like buying your first home or for family hardship, stuff like that. But I'm just focusing on the options that are retirement specific. And so our series on early withdrawals will wrap up next week. But before we get into today's topic, just remember that the information in this podcast is general in nature and it should not be taken as investment advice specific to you and your individual situation. All right, let's get started. When it comes to the money that is in your Roth IRA, there are several different ways that money might have gotten there in the first place. A particular dollar might have originated from 1. Contributions, the money that you have put in directly into the account over the years. 2. It could be conversions, money that you have converted over from a pre-tax account. Or 3. It could be earnings, money generated from those contributions or conversions, or earnings generated by earnings, the definition of compounding. And so those are the three things that a dollar might be considered within your Roth IRA. We have contributions, conversions, and earnings. And why this matters is because whenever you pull money out of a Roth IRA, that money receives different treatment depending on which category it is in. Contributions, conversions, and earnings all have different rules. And you do not get to choose which category your withdrawal comes from. That order is already set in stone. But thankfully for us, it is set in a very favorable way. So this is the order that you follow whenever you withdraw. First, your contributions until they're all gone. Second, your conversions until those are all gone. And last will be the earnings. So let's say whenever you add up all the contributions you've ever made into your Roth IRA, it comes out to $100,000 of pure contributions. So as you start making withdrawals, the first $100,000 you would withdraw would be considered contributions until they are completely gone. Then you would tap into any conversions that you've made until those are completely gone. And last, the money you pull out would be earnings until your account balance is completely gone. And again, why does this matter? Because contributions, conversions, and earnings are all treated differently by the IRS. Contributions are pretty easy on us. At any point, regardless of whether or not you are 59 and a half, you can withdraw the contributions you have made tax-free and penalty-free. So this right here is another method of accessing retirement funds before 59 and a half. At any time, you can always pull out the amounts that you have contributed. And that makes sense to me. It makes sense that that should be something I am allowed to do. Now, conversions, those get a lot more complex. Let me first start by telling you what you are not allowed to do. Let's say Sam is 50 years old, and Sam has been retired for 2 years now. After he quit his job 2 years ago, and his income was much lower, he began converting some funds out of his traditional IRA into his Roth IRA. Let's say he converted $80,000. And because Sam primarily used his pre-tax traditional accounts for his retirement savings, let's also say he only contributed $20,000 into his Roth IRA over his life. Okay. Then Sam finds his dream home on the market, and he will do anything to get it. He needs money for the down payment, but he wants to keep his tax bill lower, and so he decides to pull $100,000 out of his Roth IRA to help fund it. So again, Sam needs $100,000 out of his Roth IRA, and only $20,000 of that is contributions. And he is welcome to pull those out penalty-free. But the other $80,000 of his withdrawal is conversions. And if Sam wants to pull out those, he would have to pay the 10% early withdrawal penalty. And this brings us to something called the 5-year conversion rule. Now, there is another 5-year rule that applies to Roth IRAs, but for simplicity today, we are going to stick to the one that is most relevant to this conversation, and I don't want to confuse you. So the 5-year conversion rule. If you are younger than 59 and a half, then for each Roth conversion you make, you must wait 5 years to withdraw that conversion if you want to avoid the 10% early withdrawal penalty. So back to our example. Because Sam is only 50 years old, and because he only started making his Roth conversions 2 years ago, the oldest one is only 2 years old. And that's an important distinction because every conversion has its very own 5-year clock. But because Sam does not meet the criteria, if he were to withdraw the conversions, he would pay the 10% penalty. If he had waited for 5 years for each conversion, he would be exempt from the 10% penalty. Why does the IRS do this? When it comes to your contributions, there is an absolute maximum to how much they can be. Whatever the contribution limit is for however many years that you contribute. But when it comes to your conversions, in theory, there is no limit to how much you can convert into your Roth IRA. And I mean two things when I say this. First, there is no limit to the amount that you can decide to convert in any given year. In theory, you could convert your entire traditional IRA into your Roth if you really wanted to. Now, that might be a terrible idea, but you could do it. And the other thing I mean when I say there is no cap is that your conversions, well, they would consist of the contributions you had made into your traditional pre-tax accounts. And it could also consist of the earnings that were generated by those initial contributions. And so the 5-year conversion rule is the IRS's way of saying, you can't have completely unchecked access into your retirement accounts before you are 59 and a half. So I guess we're just going to make you wait 5 years. Any amount that you convert in a given tax year, you will need to wait 5 years to withdraw it, unless you want to pay the 10% penalty. Honestly, a deal I would be happy to take any day. And one more thing I should mention is that as soon as you turn 59 and a half, you are good to go. Any conversion clocks that are still pending are up. If you make a conversion when you're 58, you don't have to wait 5 years to avoid the penalty. Remember, the penalty is an early withdrawal penalty for if you're younger than 59 and a half. So if you're 59 and a half, there is no early withdrawal going on. And so, when it comes to accessing our retirement funds before we turn 59 and a half, those are our two methods of the day. Method 1, you can withdraw your Roth contributions penalty-free regardless of your age at any time. And method 2, you can withdraw your Roth conversions penalty-free regardless of your age if that conversion is at least 5 years old. So that's it. Thank you for listening, and I will see you next time.